Good morning, Professor Hughes and fellow classmates. My name is Matthew Tompkins. Today I want to talk to you about social media. I want to talk about social media. Is it a good thing or is it a negative one? Social media and the good things and the bad things that social media offers is online social networking good or bad? And is social networking good or bad for social skills? Starting with social skill or social media. Social media has an interaction for highly accessible scalable communication. Social media is the use of web-based and mobile technologies to turn communication into dialogue. One of Cairo's activists once stated, "We use Facebook to schedule protests, Twitter to coordinate, and YouTube to tell the world." That in itself is a very powerful statement if you sit back and think about it. Yes, in today's society, we have many tools to use to communicate. Start off with the cell phone. Cell phone is a very useful tool to communicate. It's very easy to use. It's very convenient, but at the same time, it actually causes many headaches. How many times have you been driving down the expressway or just in traffic and you're stopped deadlocked because someone in front of you is texting? Or someone in front of you is on their cell phone. They can't focus driving because they're on their cell phone. Every day when I'm going to work, I see at least no less than 30 people driving and talking on the cell phone or texting. So it's very dangerous when you take this in consideration of someone driving and texting. Before these cell phones even came out, you can drive a little bit more easy, knowing that it's a possibility that if you get in an accident, it's probably because of a drunk driver or someone falling asleep at the wheel. But now you have to actually add someone texting to the equation. So that's something to think about as we go forward. Cell phones and is inaccessible or inexpensive and accessible to enable anyone. It's capable of reaching small or large audiences. That must be one of the positives of social media or the cell phone. When Barack Obama was elected president, many believed that his he actually was elected because of the social media that he utilized for his campaign. This is an interesting statistic. In 2008, Cone Business and Social Media study that 93% of American social media users should have a social media presence. 56% has connection with companies that do. That's very powerful when you think about it. So basically, if you have no social media interaction or capabilities, then either you're not getting hired or that company's not going to function. We have a couple of social media websites that we use quite frequently and often. You have YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, just to name a few. So with these websites, that's something we have to think about. Is online social networking good or bad? There was 200 University of Maryland students that experienced withdrawals when they stopped using online websites or online media. They experienced frantic cravings, jitters, possible addiction. News reports in 2009 also warned that social networking sites will ruin our brains and our bodies. So this is something very serious we have to think about. When you're constantly in front of a computer, does it really have that effect on you? I know many times I've been in front of a computer and I had a headache just for about 2 hours. This is just doing schoolwork. So can you imagine someone that's been online just communicating with someone else for 9 hours? That is a long time to be in front of a computer. It's also not good for your eyes. So you also have short attention spans, wrecking in immune systems, fostering autism. These are some very serious symptoms if you sit down and think about it. One neuroscientist, Suzanne Greenfield, stated that this could change the pattern of a young person's developing brain. Think about this. We have kids 5 years old, 6 years old, that's using computers. And if this statement is true, then we're actually going to have some pretty messed up adults come the time when it's time for them to graduate, if they can graduate, if their brains aren't fried. So let's discuss some of the possible effects of online social networking. Have you ever heard of the soldier that was placed under arrest because he was sending important military intelligence information through Facebook back to his home? It's no telling how many soldiers was affected by this or how the mission could have been affected by this. So it's very important that we really look forward or look closely at this as far as this social media. Yes, you have some positives and some negatives. Yes, you have people that's doing the right thing, but at the same time, you have some ones that's not doing the right thing. So the big question basically is, does the negative outweigh the positive? Right now, the positive may be good, but in the future, the negative can definitely outweigh the positive. That's something else to think about. Study shows that half of American teenagers send 50 or more messages a day. 50. One third of 100 a day. That's a lot. Two-thirds will use cell phones to text rather than call. Now, I just had to stop and think about that for a minute. Two-thirds would rather text than call. What other interaction can you possibly get better than talking to someone? When you're talking to someone, you can hear the joy in their voice, you can hear the hurt in their voice, you can hear the urgency in their voice. You cannot get this via a cell phone texting or on a computer typing. So I really truly believe using cell phones, texting, or on the internet, typing, chatting is really taken away from social skills. It is taking the empathetic. Many people won't be empathetic with each other anymore. It's taking away the social skills. So that's something we need to really, really think about. Also, this says good with tech skills, but weak with face-to-face human contacts is what they call in these new digital natives. Good with tech skills, but weak with social skills. So let's say this technology breaks down 10, 15 years from now, and we have to rely on these teenagers or youth to be able to solve problems face to face, and they can't because they're so used to using the computer or using a cell phone texting. This is a very scary thought if you actually sit back, take time out, and think about this. So, again, is it good or is it bad? So, social media has its positives, but do the negatives again outweigh the positives? We are in danger of going forward with a world that relies heavily on using electronics to communicate using computers rather than to meet people. Will this make our society more insensitive? We have enough insensitive people in the world today. So, are we doing this to make our world a better place for the sake of convenience? Thank you.